We will open up the Masters of the Universe Origins Horde Trooper from the Evil Horde, the dispensable robot troopers used by Hordak. Talk about the figure compared to the original old figure back in the 80s. See how the new Origins one compares. Look at this, I got two, because it's an army builder, so I wasn't a fool like the Attorney and Palace Guard like last time. As usual on the back with the artwork. Interestingly, it seems like that's a Thunder Punch He-Man. He used to use caps to make like an explosion sound when he would do his punch. Here he's punching one of the Horde troops apart. Makes you wonder if they'll find a way to release that one. Now here we can just see troops and a little bit of Hordak, not a lot of other characters. But let's open him up. As his staff, I believe in the cartoon they had like a silver staff weapon of some sort. So this is a little different than the animation, mostly in the She-Ra cartoon. It's where you'll see these guys. Or the movie Secret of the Sword, where it's a crossover with He-Man and She-Ra together. But it's a pretty inventive piece with all the creature molded on there and just the circuitry and things like that. Cool kind of weapon. So the original 80s figure had very different body and articulation from the standard He-Man figures. Just had kind of rotate at the arms and rotate at the legs, which usually the old figures just had kind of one movement. So here with Origins, you know, we have just some extra joints like knee and elbow and wrists that wouldn't have been on the original 80s ones. Just note with the armor, it is blocking, you know, movement of the arms up. So you can't really do a straight up arm pose of any sort like that, because this is going to be blocking you. But otherwise he has the same articulation of the other Origins figures and the same ability to be taken apart and switched around. Torso, head, arms, all of that. This one's more fitted and formed to be like the Origins line in general. So he's kind of redone quite a bit, because the original 80s one was a whole different kind of mold and character. Probably because it was more meant probably for the She-Ra figures that were kind of different as well. Might have been why they changed it up a little bit. But a lot of the villains got released just in the Masters of the Universe line, like Hordak and all his Evil Horde members. But then with the She-Ra line, you had like Bo release there. So I don't know, it was mostly just, they were both meant to mix together anyway. So they just happened to release the Horde troop under the Masters of the Universe line. Is the sweet armor and everything. Looks a lot like the Filmation version. So from the Secret of the Sword movie, He-Man. Very armored up and, you know, even tilted way up. You have to kind of peek down in there to see that this weird helmeted head here. And so much like the battle damage, battle armor kind of He-Man and Skeletor, we have like kind of a button mechanism that we're hitting and he's busting apart, showing some of the circuits inside that these are just kind of robot dudes. And He-Man kind of does a Star Wars Stormtrooper disguise kind of thing, puts the armor pieces on him as disguised as a troop in that movie. That just latches back together. It's a little weird about, you gotta kind of hit it fast so it pops apart, because if your finger's right on there when you're hitting it, it's obviously not gonna burst forward. So it's a little tight when you latch it here to pop off the back end even. It's not really popping out the back like it should all the way down. So they're a little tight. I mean, it's a simple mechanism here that when you push the button, it's just popping away from this back peg here, pushing that back, so it should push it out. But I wouldn't say it just pops off here, and especially since it's attached instead of coming off as a separate piece, which of course would just end up to them being lost more. But it is kind of cool that they're on these hinges, so you're not losing the pieces. Interestingly, the head will just come right off, so you can kind of get that effect with putting an Origins head on the armor, so he's like a the Stormtrooper disguise style thing that they do in the Secret Sword movie, and probably a few times in just a She-Ra cartoon. I'm sure somebody pops on the armor as a disguise. Of course, he's just going to hold his staff. Usually I just hold the staves and kind of shoot like a beam, but you can kind of get that pose with this extra articulation now. Not that this hand is opening up to hold the back, but you can get it close there like they're going, you know, shooting their little beam. So the cool yellow accents with the belt buckle and the visor. Decent, you know, silvery armor, not like super shiny or anything, but just like the original 80s style figure. Hordak's symbol. He's a cool one. I mean, that was probably one of my favorite parts of getting to see a few episodes of She-Ra or just that Secret of the Sword movie. Hordak had these really cool troop dudes that He-Man could just kind of beat the crap out of. Kind of cooler than the floaty robos of Skeletor. These were full-on armored troops, since Hordak was in charge and Etheria had his army. Definitely love to see some Hordak themed vehicles or something. Put these troops in, like a tank or a jet or something like that, just for the Evil Horde in the future. Not something that would have been released in the 80s, because these guys didn't get any vehicles like that. So always love this design, love the movie, and getting to see them in the She-Ra show as well, even though this is just a Masters of the Universe line. Getting so many She-Ra nods and stuff is awesome. Very happy to get 2 as well, that you can have 2 soldiers with Hordak. So I open all my Masters of the Universe Origins figures here. We'll keep checking out the line as long as there's characters made from the cartoons. That's what I like to collect. I open all my other collectible figure stuff here, old and new. This is a new line of an old line that's new, and but sometimes I do open retro stuff, so hopefully you'll get to see in the next video whatever that might be. I burst it open. There must be another drill or something. We don't need to see his identification.